The chamber is open and full of whispers.
The Triwizard Cup glows blue in the maze. Harry Potter and Cedric Diggory reach it simultaneously, hands outstretched. Their fingers touch the trophy at the exact same moment. The world lurches. Colors blur. They're pulled forward by a hook behind their navels, the unmistakable sensation of portkey travel. They land hard on damp earth. The cup clatters beside them, still glowing faintly. Harry scrambles to his feet, wand already in hand. Cedric does the same, turning in a slow circle to assess their surroundings. "Where are we?" Cedric asks. Gravestones, dozens of them, weathered and ancient, arranged in crooked rows. A massive yew tree looms in the center, branches spreading like skeletal fingers. Beyond the graveyard, a hill rises, silhouetted against the night sky. Atop the hill, a dark manor house, windows black and empty. Harry's scar explodes with pain. He gasps, hand flying to his forehead. The pain is white-hot, searing, worse than anything he's felt before. Harry, Cedric grabs his shoulder. "What's wrong?" "My scar, it's..." Harry can't finish. The pain intensifies. Through the agony, he feels something else. Malicious joy, anticipation, hunger. Footsteps crunch on gravel. Both boys spin toward the sound, wands raised. A figure emerges from the shadows beside the yew tree, small, hunched, carrying a bundle wrapped in black robes. The figure moves with jerky, nervous steps, like a rat skittering from hiding. "Wormtail," Harry breathes. The figure, Peter Pettigrew, stops 10 feet away. His watery eyes gleam in the moonlight. His face is pale, slick with sweat. "Harry Potter," Pettigrew says in his wheezing voice. "The Dark Lord has been waiting for you." The bundle in his arms shifts. Something inside it moves. Cedric's wand hand steadies. "Harry, what's happening? Who is that? And now?" He glances at Cedric dismissively. "The Dark Lord requires only you. This other one is spare." He raises his wand, pointing it directly at Cedric's chest. Harry's mind races. He knows what's about to happen. He's seen enough duels, enough death in pensive memories. Pettigrew is going to kill Cedric. Right now. For no reason except convenience. Time seems to slow. Pettigrew's lips form the words. Avada. Green light flashes overhead, missing Cedric by inches. The killing curse slams into the tombstone's far side with a sound like cracking stone. "What the hell was that?" Cedric gasps, sprawled on the damp grass. "Killing curse. Stay down." Pettigrew is firing wildly now, panicked by their evasion. Curses slam into gravestones around them, chipping marble, sending stone fragments flying. Harry risks a glance around the tombstone's edge. Pettigrew is advancing, wand raised, face twisted with fear and rage. Behind him, the bundle lies on the ground near the yew tree, writhing. "We need to get that cup and get out," Cedric says urgently. He's already assessing tactically, seeker instincts applied to life or death situations. "Where is it?" Harry points. The Triwizard Cup lies 15 feet away, still glowing, positioned between 2 rows of graves. "Problem?" Harry says. "That thing Pettigrew was carrying, that's Voldemort. Weak, but alive. If we run, he might stop us. Then we don't run. We fight." Cedric's jaw sets. 2 on 1. We can take him. Another curse strikes their tombstone. A chunk of marble explodes near Harry's head. "Cowards," Pettigrew shrieks. "Come out and face your deaths with dignity." Cedric meets Harry's eyes. On 3, you go left, I go right. Simultaneous stunners. Don't give him time to shield. Harry nods. His heart is hammering, scar still burning, but Cedric's calm focus steadies him. 1, Cedric whispers. Pettigrew's footsteps crunch closer. 2, Harry shifts his weight, muscles coiling. 3, they burst from opposite sides of the tombstone. "Stupefy," they shout in unison. Twin jets of red light shoot toward Pettigrew. He tries to shield, manages to deflect Cedric's spell, but Harry's hits him square in the chest. Pettigrew flies backward, slamming into a gravestone. His wand flies from his hand, clattering across stone. "Incarcerus," Cedric casts immediately, not giving Pettigrew a chance to recover. Ropes spring from thin air, wrapping around Pettigrew's body. Arms, legs, torso. Within seconds, he's bound tightly, unconscious and immobilized. Harry runs to retrieve Pettigrew's wand, snaps it in half. The pieces spark and go dark. "We need to leave now," Cedric says, already moving toward the cup. before the black robes fall away. What emerges is not human, not anymore. It's small, no larger than a malnourished child, but its proportions are wrong. The head is too large, the limbs too thin, the skin is translucent, almost scaled, stretched over bones that jut at unnatural angles. Eyes glow red in the darkness. When it moves, it's jerky, puppet-like, as if the body doesn't quite know how to coordinate its own movements. Lord Voldemort, weak, incomplete, but alive. You ruined the ritual, Harry, Voldemort hisses. The voice sounds wrong coming from that malformed mouth. I needed you for the resurrection. Bone of the father, flesh of the servant, blood of the enemy. Instead, you've brought me a witness. He looks at Cedric with those horrible red eyes. And a spare, Voldemort adds. How disappointing. Cedric raises his wand, hand remarkably steady. Harry, get to the cup. I'll hold him off. No, Harry says immediately. We go together or not at all. How touching, Voldemort says. His lipless mouth stretches into something approximating a smile. You both believe you can escape. You both believe you have a chance. Let me educate you about Cedric doesn't let him finish. Stupefy. The red bolt flies straight and true. Voldemort hisses in fury and waves one malformed hand. The spell deflects, absorbed into nothingness. Foolish boy, I am Lord Voldemort. Stunning spells, Incendio, Harry casts, sending a jet of flame. Voldemort deflects this too, but it forces him to move. His weak body stumbles, nearly falls. Run, Harry shouts. They sprint toward the cup. Behind them, Voldemort shrieks in rage. Impedimenta, the hex slams into Harry's legs. He crashes to the ground, momentum sending him sliding across wet grass. Cedric skidders to a stop, turns back. Harry, get the cup. No. Cedric runs back, grabs Harry under the arms, hauls him upright. The jinx wears off in seconds. Voldemort is too weak to sustain it, but those seconds matter. Voldemort is raising his hand again, gathering magic for a more powerful curse. We won't make it, Harry gasps. He's too fast. Then we change the plan. Cedric's eyes fix on Pettigrew's bound form, lying unconscious, 10 feet away. Grab him. We take him with us. What? He's evidence. Proof that Voldemort's back. We take him to Dumbledore. It's brilliant. Risky, but brilliant. Harry lunges for Pettigrew, grabs the unconscious man by the ropes binding his arms. Cedric grabs Pettigrew's legs. Together they drag him toward the cup, moving as fast as they can while carrying dead weight. Voldemort screams in fury, "No, you will not!" Cedric's hand lands on top of his, and between them, touching both, Peter Pettigrew. The portkey activates. The world spins. Colors blur. Harry feels the hook behind his navel again, pulling forward, dragging them through space. The last thing he hears is Voldemort's shriek of rage, echoing across the graveyard. Then they're falling. They materialize in the center of the Quidditch pitch. The stadium erupts. Thousands of people, students, teachers, ministry officials, foreign delegations, all on their feet cheering. The third task is over. The champions have returned, but the cheering falters almost immediately because Harry Potter and Cedric Diggory aren't celebrating. They're sprawled on the grass, breathing hard, bleeding from cuts and scrapes. Between them lies a bound, unconscious man none of them recognize, and both champions look terrified. Dumbledore is the first to reach them. He moves faster than a man his age should be able to, robes billowing, expression grave. Harry, Cedric, what happened? Harry can't speak. His scar is still burning, nausea churning in his stomach. Cedric pushes himself upright. Headmaster, his voice cracks. He swallows, forces himself to speak clearly. Voldemort has returned. We barely escaped. This man, Peter Pettigrew, we brought him as evidence. Silence. Absolute, complete silence. 10,000 people holding their breath. Then chaos. Students scream. Parents surge forward. Reporters shout questions. The international judges are on their feet, shouting in multiple languages. Ludo Bagman, the tournament announcer, tries to restore order. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. But nobody's listening. Cornelius Fudge, Minister for Magic, pushes through the crowd. His face is purple, bowler hat askew. Dumbledore, what is the meaning of this? What is that boy saying? I suggest we move this conversation somewhere private, Dumbledore says quietly, but his eyes are sharp, assessing the bound man on the ground. Minerva, take Harry and Cedric to the hospital wing. Severus. He spots Snape standing near the edge of the crowd. With me, now. Snape approaches, face pale. He's rolled up his left sleeve. The dark mark on his forearm is visible, black against white skin. It's moving, writhing, darker than it's been in 14 years. The mark burned, Snape says quietly, for Dumbledore's ears only. Approximately 10 minutes ago. Intense. Summoning. Sonorous. His voice booms across the stadium. The third task is concluded. All students are to return to their dormitories immediately. International guests will be escorted to your accommodations. Ministry officials, please remain. We have urgent matters to discuss. McGonagall has already reached Harry and Cedric. She helps them to their feet, one hand on each of their shoulders. Can you walk? She asks. He's steadier than Harry, though his hands are shaking. They start toward the castle. But Amos Diggory breaks through the crowd, face wild with panic. Cedric, my boy. He reaches them and pulls Cedric into a crushing embrace. You're alive. You're alive. I saw you disappear, and I thought, I'm okay, Dad, Cedric says quietly. His composure cracks for the first time. I'm okay. Harry saved my life. Amos looks at Harry, eyes streaming with tears. Thank you. Thank you. I can't, Mr. Diggory. McGonagall says gently but firmly, your son needs medical attention. You may accompany us to the hospital wing. They walk through the castle corridors. Behind them, the stadium continues to buzz with chaos. In the hospital wing, Madame Pomfrey descends on them immediately. Sit, both of you. Let me see those injuries. Harry has cuts from flying stone fragments, bruises from hitting the ground. His scar is an angry red, throbbing with each heartbeat. Cedric has a curse burn on his left arm. Voldemort got off one spell before they escaped. The skin is blackened, weeping. Pomfrey makes a distressed sound. Dark magic, this will take time to heal properly. She applies salves, mutters spells, works with the brisk efficiency of someone who's patched up students for decades. Amos hovers nearby, unwilling to leave his son's side. What happened out there, Cedric? What did you see? Cedric takes a shaky breath. Voldemort. He's back. Weak, but alive. Pettigrew was there, the man we brought back. He was preparing some kind of ritual. Harry and I escaped before it could finish, but his voice drops. Dad, it was real. Everything everyone said about you-know-who. He's real. And he's coming back. Amos's face goes white. You saw him. Actually saw him. Yes. And you're certain it was... I'm certain he tried to kill us both. Amos sinks into a chair, looking suddenly much older. The Ministry, they need to be told. They need to prepare. They're being told right now, McGonagall says. She's standing guard at the door. Dumbledore is with Fudge and the senior officials. The headmaster's office. Dumbledore sits behind his desk. Fawkes perches on his stand, watching with intelligent eyes. The portraits of former headmasters pretend to sleep, but are clearly listening. Cornelius Fudge paces in front of the desk, bowler hat clutched in both hands. This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. You know who is dead. Everyone knows he's dead. The boy must be confused, traumatized. Perhaps the Triwizard challenges were too much. The boy? Amelia Bones, head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, says sharply. She sits in one of the chairs, back straight, quill poised over parchment. Which boy, Cornelius? Because there are two boys telling the same story, and one of them is Cedric Diggory. Fudge stops pacing. Diggory is a good student, prefect, head boy, but even good students can be deceived. By what? A shared hallucination? Amelia's voice is acid. They brought back evidence, Cornelius. A bound prisoner. A man who's been dead for 13 years, according to Ministry records. On the floor between them lies Peter Pettigrew, still unconscious, still bound. Dumbledore has added additional magical restraints, ropes of light that glow faintly in the dim office. Fudge stares at Pettigrew like he's a poisonous snake. We don't know who that is. Could be anyone. Polyjuice potion, transfiguration, any number of... He has the dark mark, Snape says coldly from his position near the window. He's still holding his left arm, showing the writhing tattoo. As do I. Mine burned tonight for the first time in 14 years. That only happens when the Dark Lord summons his followers, or when he regains power. You could be mistaken. A magical malfunction. Dumbledore's voice is quiet but cuts through Fudge's babbling like a knife. I understand your reluctance to accept this. I understand the political ramifications are severe. but we must deal with reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Voldemort has returned, in weakened form, but he is alive, and he will grow stronger if we do nothing. Fudge's face turns purple. Don't say that name, and you have no proof. 2 traumatized boys and a man who might not even be Peter Pettigrew. We have Veritaserum. We have the records of Pettigrew's death, or supposed death. We can check fingerprints, magical signatures, anything you want, but we verify it properly, Cornelius, through the Wizengamot, with full due process. Fudge looks trapped. He glances at Pettigrew, at Dumbledore, at Amelia. An emergency session? Tomorrow morning, Amelia says firmly. We present the evidence to the full Wizengamot. We allow both boys to testify under oath, and we determine the truth. If you're right, and this is all some elaborate confusion, we'll discover that. If Dumbledore is right and you know who has returned, she pauses, then we need to act immediately. He knows he's cornered. Refusing an investigation would look like a cover-up. And if this really is Peter Pettigrew, if the boys are telling the truth, the political consequences of denying it would destroy him. Fine, he says tightly. Emergency session tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But Dumbledore, he jabs a finger at the headmaster. If this turns out to be some scheme to undermine my authority, my only concern is the safety of the wizarding world, Dumbledore says evenly. As I trust is yours. Fudge leaves, slamming the door behind him. Amelia stands, rolling up her parchment. He's going to fight this, you know that. I know. But you've given us the opening we need, a formal investigation. Thank you, Amelia. She nods curtly. Those boys deserve the truth to be heard, especially Cedric Diggory. His father works in my department. Good man. Amos will tear the ministry apart if anyone tries to call his son a liar. After she leaves, Dumbledore and Snape are alone with the unconscious prisoner. Veritaserum, Snape says. 3 drops. He'll have no choice but to confess everything. Yes, but we must be careful. Peter was always cunning. He'll try to minimize his role, claim he was forced, anything to save his skin. He framed Black. He served the Dark Lord for 14 years as a rat. Snape's voice is venomous. He deserves Azkaban, or worse. He will face justice. But first, he will give us the truth about Voldemort's return. And that truth, Severus, will change everything. Morning light streams through the hospital wing's tall windows. Harry wakes slowly, disoriented. His body aches. His scar throbs with a dull, persistent pain. Easy, a voice says. Don't move too quickly. Harry turns his head. Cedric is sitting in the bed next to his, arm freshly bandaged. He looks exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, face drawn, but alive. How long was I asleep? Harry asks. About 6 hours. Madame Pomfrey gave you a dreamless sleep potion. You were having nightmares. Harry remembers fragments, the graveyard, Voldemort's red eyes, Pettigrew's wand rising to kill Cedric. You saved my life, Cedric says quietly. When Pettigrew tried to curse me, you shouted for me to dive. I wouldn't have reacted in time otherwise. You came back for me. We're even then, yeah? Harry sits up carefully. Do you know what's happening with Pettigrew with the ministry? My dad told me before he left. He's testifying too, as a ministry employee and my father. He's furious. Apparently Fudge tried to suggest we were both confused or imperioed. Cedric's expression hardens. Dad told him if he repeated that in public, the Diggory family would make his life very difficult. Your dad can do that? He's a department head. And pure blood. That matters to people like Fudge. Cedric's tone suggests he doesn't like that it matters, but understands the reality. Dumbledore's counting on it. The minister can call you mentally unstable. You're 14, you've been through trauma, you're connected to you-know-who through your scar. But he can't call me a liar without severe political cost, because you're older. Pure blood, a champion. But we use every advantage we have. Cedric swings his legs out of bed, winces at the pull of his bandaged arm. I'm going to testify, tell them exactly what I saw, and they'll have to believe me, because if they don't, the door opens. Ron and Hermione burst in, followed more slowly by Sirius Black. Sirius shouldn't be here. He's still technically a fugitive, hiding from ministry authorities, but he's wearing a disillusionment charm that makes him nearly invisible, and Harry suspects Dumbledore arranged for him to enter the castle unseen. Harry, Hermione runs to his bedside. We heard what happened. Are you all right? I'm fine. We're both fine. Actually fought him and escaped? We ran, Cedric corrects. Fighting him directly would have been suicide. But yes, we escaped. with evidence. Sirius moves closer, disillusionment charm flickering as he concentrates on staying hidden. Pettigrew, he says, voice rough with emotion, you actually caught the rat. Dumbledore has him in custody. He's testifying today under veritaserum. Good. Sirius's voice is savage. Let him confess everything. Let everyone hear what he did. They will, Harry says. And when they do, Sirius, you'll be cleared. Officially. No more hiding. The Wizengamot chamber is packed. Every seat in the tiered courtroom is filled. The 50 members of the Wizengamot, the highest magical court in Britain, sit in plum-colored robes, faces grave. In the center of the room, a single chair sits chained to the floor. Accused prisoners sit there during trials. Peter Pettigrew sits there now, bound by magical restraints that glow with silver light. He's conscious but groggy, eyes darting around the room like a cornered animal. Albus Dumbledore stands at the Chief Warlock's position, wearing his own plum robes and pointed hat. This emergency session of the Wizengamot is now in order. We are gathered to hear testimony regarding events that occurred on the evening of June 24th, in connection with the Triwizard Tournament third task. Cornelius Fudge sits in the minister's box, face stony. Amelia Bones sits nearby, quill ready. In the witness gallery, Harry Potter and Cedric Diggory, both wearing formal robes, both looking young and serious. The accused is Peter Pettigrew, Dumbledore continues. Presumed dead for 13 years following an incident in which he allegedly confronted Sirius Black after Black betrayed Lily and James Potter to you-know-who. The official record states that Black killed Pettigrew and 12 muggles with a single curse, leaving only Pettigrew's finger behind. Murmurs ripple through the chamber. However, Dumbledore says, Mr. Pettigrew is clearly alive. The question before us, is this truly Peter Pettigrew? And if so, what transpired 13 years ago? Objection, Fudge calls out. We don't even know if that's Pettigrew. Could be an imposter using polyjuice? Magical signature analysis was performed this morning, Amelia interrupts, consulting her notes. The accused's magical signature matches ministry records for Peter Pettigrew. Fingerprints match, dental records match, and, she pauses, he is an unregistered animagus, rat form. This was verified by forced transformation under ministry supervision. More murmurs. Becoming an animagus requires registration with the ministry. Failure to register is illegal. Furthermore, Amelia continues, the accused bears the dark mark on his left forearm. He is, or was, a Death Eater in service to you-know-who. The murmurs become gasps. Several Wizengamot members lean forward, staring at Pettigrew with horror. Fudge looks like he's swallowed something foul. He can't object to Amelia's evidence. She's the head of magical law enforcement, and her documentation is meticulous. Very well, Dumbledore says. Let us proceed with testimony. Peter Pettigrew, you will be questioned under veritaserum, 3 drops administered by Madame Bones. Amelia approaches Pettigrew with a small vial. He tries to twist away, mouth clamped shut, but the magical restraints hold him immobile. She forces his jaw open and drops the clear liquid onto his tongue. His eyes glaze. The effect is immediate. Dumbledore steps forward. State your full name. Peter. Pettigrew's voice is flat, emotionless, compelled by the potion. Peter Pettigrew, son of Enid Pettigrew, born March 12, 1960. Are you an animagus? Yes. Rat form. Unregistered. Were you friends with James Potter, Sirius Black, and Remus Lupin during your time at Hogwarts? Did you serve as secret keeper for James and Lily Potter under the Fidelius charm? A pause. Pettigrew's face contorts, fighting the potion. But he can't resist. Yes. The chamber explodes. Wizengamot members are on their feet shouting. The official record stated that Sirius Black was secret keeper. That's why Black was convicted. But if Pettigrew was secret keeper... Order, Dumbledore's voice cuts through the chaos. Order, the chamber quiets. Did you betray the Potter's location to Lord Voldemort? Dumbledore asks. He uses the name deliberately. Several members flinch. Yes. No hesitation now. The potion has him fully. I told the Dark Lord where they were hiding. Why? I wanted to survive after Voldemort's attack on the Potters failed. Did you confront Sirius Black? What happened during that confrontation? I killed 12 muggles. I used a blasting curse in a crowded street. Then I cut off my own finger, transformed into a rat, and fled into the sewers. I framed Sirius Black for my death and the muggles' deaths. Dead silence. Every person in the chamber is staring at Pettigrew. 12 muggles, killed deliberately, by the man they thought was the victim. "Where have you been for the past 13 years?" Dumbledore asks quietly. "Living as Ron Weasley's pet rat. At the Burrow, then at Hogwarts, spying, waiting for the Dark Lord's return." And on the night of June 24th, what occurred? The Dark Lord contacted me, told me to ensure Harry Potter touched the portkey, the Triwizard Cup, and was transported to the graveyard. I was to assist in his resurrection ritual, blood of the enemy, forcibly taken. What happened when Harry and Cedric Diggory arrived at the graveyard? I attempted to kill Cedric Diggory. The Dark Lord ordered it. He said, "Kill the spare." But the boy dodged. They fought me, stunned me, bound me, took me with them when they escaped via the portkey. Is Lord Voldemort alive? Yes. The word hangs in the air like a curse. Fudge is on his feet. This is impossible. He's lying. The potion must be defective. Veritaserum cannot be resisted, Amelia says coldly. Every word is truth. Pettigrew betrayed the Potters. Framed black, served you-know-who, and you-know-who is alive. I need to hear it from the boys, Fudge says desperately. They might have been confused, imperioed. Then let them testify, Dumbledore says. Harry Potter, Cedric Diggory, please approach. Harry and Cedric walk to the center of the chamber. They stand side by side, facing the Wizengamot. Mr. Potter, Dumbledore says gently, please describe what you witnessed on the night of June 24th. The cup was a portkey. Cedric and I touched it at the same time and were transported to a graveyard. Little Hangleton, I think. I saw a manor house on a hill. Pettigrew was there, carrying something. He tried to kill Cedric, but we dodged. We fought him 2-on-1, stunned him and bound him. What else did you see? Voldemort, weak, barely alive, but definitely him. He looked, Harry struggles for words, like a malformed child, pale, scaled skin. Red eyes, he tried to stop us from escaping, cast spells at us. We grabbed Pettigrew and used the cup to get back. You are certain it was Voldemort? Yes, sir. I saw him once before, when I was a baby, through my scar's connection, and my scar burned worse than ever that night. It only hurts when he's near or using magic. I'm certain. Dumbledore nods. Mr. Diggory, your testimony. Cedric's voice is steady, clear, projecting to every corner of the chamber. I corroborate everything Harry said. We were transported to the graveyard together. Pettigrew attempted to kill me with the killing curse. We fought and captured him. And I saw Voldemort. I don't have Harry's scar connection, but I saw him with my own eyes, heard his voice. He was real. He tried to kill us both. Harry and I survived by working together and escaping with Pettigrew as evidence. Dumbledore asks, Yes. Cedric looks directly at Fudge. Minister, I understand the political implications are severe. I understand this threatens stability, but denying reality won't make it go away. Voldemort has returned, weak but alive. And if we don't act now, if we don't prepare, he'll grow stronger. We're giving you the truth. What you do with it will determine whether we're ready when he comes back with his full power. It's a powerful speech, measured, mature, hitting exactly the right notes. Fudge looks like he's aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Dumbledore addresses the Wizengamot. You have heard testimony from 3 sources, Pettigrew under Veritaserum, 2 champions under oath, and Severus Snape will testify that his dark mark burned on the night in question. Evidence that Voldemort summoned his followers. The evidence is overwhelming. Voldemort has returned. A Wizengamot member, Griselda Marchbanks, ancient and respected, stands. I move that we accept the testimony as fact. Voldemort lives. Peter Pettigrew is guilty of treason, murder, and service to a known dark wizard. And Sirius Black, her voice strengthens, is innocent of all charges. Seconded, another member calls. All in favor? Dumbledore asks. 45 hands rise. Only 5 abstain, pure blood families with suspected Death Eater connections. Motion passes. Peter Pettigrew is remanded to Azkaban pending sentencing. Sirius Black is hereby exonerated of all charges, effective immediately. Fudge sits frozen in his seat, face white. And in the witness gallery, Harry and Cedric exchange looks of exhausted relief. They did it. The truth is out. Now the world must face what comes next. Sirius Black walks out of the Ministry of Magic a free man. It's mid-afternoon. The sun is shining. The street is crowded with witches and wizards going about their business. For the first time in 14 years, Sirius doesn't need to hide. He stands on the ministry steps, breathing deeply. His hands shake slightly. After effects of Azkaban, of years of Dementors, of trauma that will take time to heal. Harry is waiting at the bottom of the steps. Sirius catches him, holds him tight, both of them laughing and crying at the same time. "You did it," Sirius says hoarsely. "You caught him, you brought him back. You freed me." "We freed you," Harry corrects. He pulls back, gesturing. "Cedric helped. We both did." Cedric Diggory stands a few steps away, giving them space. When Sirius looks at him, Cedric extends his hand. "Mr. Black, Harry's talked about you for months. It's good to finally meet you properly." Sirius shakes his hand. "You saved Harry's life at the graveyard. That makes you family in my book." "We saved each other," Cedric says. "That's what partners do." The word partners settles between them with weight. They're not just tournament competitors anymore. They're brothers in arms, survivors of Voldemort's return. Other people are gathering. Remus Lupin approaches, looking years younger without the weight of believing Sirius betrayed James. The two men embrace, 12 years of grief dissolving into relief. Ron and Hermione arrive, both grinning. Hermione is carrying a copy of the Daily Prophet, headline screaming, "The two who lived, champions escape Dark Lord, prove Black innocent." "You're on the front page," Hermione says, showing them the paper. "Both of you. They're calling you heroes." Harry makes a face. "We're not heroes. We just did what we had to." "That's what makes you heroes," Cedric says with a slight smile. They walk together through the ministry atrium. Sirius, Harry, Cedric, Remus, Ron, Hermione. A strange group. Different ages, different backgrounds, but united by survival and truth. As they exit into Muggle London, a figure approaches from the shadows near the visitor's entrance. Amos Diggory, still in his ministry robes, intercepts them. "Mr. Black, a word?" Sirius tenses slightly, but Amos's expression is open, not hostile. "My son nearly died 3 nights ago," Amos says quietly. "Your godson saved him, and together they brought you justice. I wanted to say," he extends his hand, "welcome back. To freedom. To your family. You've paid a terrible price for a crime you didn't commit. The Diggory family stands with you. If you need anything, support, testimony, help navigating the ministry, you have it." Sirius shakes his hand, visibly moved. "Thank you, that means more than you know." Amos nods. Then he looks at his son. "Cedric, I'm heading back to the office. Will you be all right?" "I'll be fine, Dad. I'm going to spend some time with Harry and the others. Help them process everything." "Good. Good." Amos pulls Cedric into a quick, fierce hug. "I'm proud of you, son. So proud." After Amos leaves, the group apparatus to Grimauld Place, Sirius's inherited house, which he hasn't set foot in since before his imprisonment. The house is dark and dusty, filled with reminders of the Black family's pure-blood mania. But Sirius doesn't care, it's his. And it's safe. "We'll clean it up," Hermione says, already mentally cataloging what needs to be done. "Make it livable, it can be headquarters. A safe place, legal guardian now that I'm cleared. If you want, if Dumbledore approves, you could live here. With me, not as my ward, but as my family." "Really? I've lost 14 years. I'm not losing any more time with you." They spend the rest of the afternoon exploring the house, making plans, talking about the future, and for the first time since the graveyard, Harry feels something other than fear. He feels hope. Number 12, Grimauld Place, is not a welcoming house. The townhouse stands in a grimy square in London, squeezed between Muggle residences that ignore it thanks to powerful notice-me-not charms. Inside, the walls are dark. The air smells of damp and decay, and portraits of long-dead Blacks sneer from their frames. "It's grim, all right," Sirius mutters, surveying the entrance hall. Dusty chandeliers hang from the ceiling. A row of shrunken house elf heads decorates the wall. The umbrella stand is actually a troll's leg. Harry stands beside him, trunk at his feet. "Are you sure about this? I could stay at the Burrow or—" "No." Sirius's voice is firm. "You're my godfather. This is your home now. We'll make it livable. Together." Remus Lupin arrives with supplies, cleaning products, both magical and Muggle. The place hasn't been properly aired in years. "Your mother kept it sealed after your father died, Sirius. We'll need to check every room for dark artifacts before Harry moves in properly." "I'll help," a voice says from the doorway. Cedric Diggory enters, carrying a bag of his own supplies. My dad works with magical creatures. I know how to identify cursed objects. And I figured, he looks at Harry, you might want company while you settle in. You don't have to, Harry starts. I know, but we're partners, remember? You don't go through this alone. Over the next 2 weeks, they transform Grimauld Place. Hermione arrives and takes charge of the library, cataloging books and identifying which ones scream when opened. Ron helps Sirius remove dark artifacts, a set of cursed goblets, a music box that plays lullabies that make listeners fall into dangerous trances, an ancient set of robes that try to strangle anyone who wears them. Harry and Cedric work on the bedrooms. They choose rooms on the second floor. Harry takes the one that was Sirius's during his youth. Cedric takes the guest room across the hall. This can be your space, Cedric says, helping Harry arrange furniture with levitation charms. Somewhere that's actually yours. Not the Dursleys, not Hogwarts dormitory. Yours, my own home, good strange or bad strange. Good. Definitely good. They work in comfortable silence for a while. Then Harry asks the question that's been bothering him for days. Why are you doing this? You graduated, you could be anywhere, doing anything, but you're here helping me clean a cursed house. Because we survived together, because Voldemort tried to kill both of us, and we only got out because we worked as a team. That creates a bond, Harry. We're not just acquaintances anymore. Where, he searches for the right word. Brothers, I guess. You don't abandon your brother? You're not just a kid. You faced Voldemort when you were a baby and survived. You faced him again at the graveyard and escaped. You're braver than most adults I know. Cedric's expression turns serious. And I need this too, Harry. After what we saw, after what happened, I can't just go back to normal life. Play Quidditch, get a ministry job, pretend the world isn't at war. I need to do something, and helping you, training you, protecting you, that's something meaningful. Harry understands. Cedric isn't just staying out of duty, he's staying because he needs purpose as much as Harry needs support. Thank you, Harry says quietly. Thank each other by staying alive. Deal. Sirius sets up a practice room in the basement, a large stone-walled space that used to be a dueling chamber for the Black family. The walls are reinforced with ancient magic, designed to contain spell damage. Right, Sirius says, standing in the center of the room with his wand loose in his hand. Here's the first lesson. Forget everything you learned about fair dueling at Hogwarts. Harry and Cedric exchange glances. They're both here for this session, Sirius insisted. Fair dueling is fine when you're practicing with classmates, Sirius continues, but Death Eaters don't care about fairness. They'll curse you from behind, they'll use hostages, they'll exploit every weakness. So lesson 1, he grins, feral and dangerous, is how to cheat properly. With respect, Mr. Black, Cedric says carefully, shouldn't we be learning proper defensive technique first? Look, I spent 12 years in Azkaban thinking about every fight I survived during the war. The ones who lived weren't the ones who fought fair. They were the ones who fought smart, dirty if necessary. Because Voldemort's followers don't have honor. They have cruelty and numbers. He demonstrates, shows them how to cast while moving, how to use the environment, transfiguring debris into shields, banishing objects at attackers, how to fake injuries to draw opponents closer. Misdirection, Sirius says. Make them think you're beaten, then hit them when they get cocky. James and I use this constantly. Pretend to be stunned, wait for them to approach, then blast them. Works every time. Harry absorbs it eagerly. This is practical magic, survival magic, the kind that might keep him alive when Voldemort comes back with his full strength. But Cedric looks troubled. After the session, Cedric pulls Sirius aside. Harry watches them talk in low voices near the stairs. He's teaching you to think like them, Cedric says quietly. Like Death Eaters. Is that really what Harry needs? It's what he needs to survive, Sirius counters. You saw Voldemort. You know what's coming. Harry can't win by being noble. He needs to be ruthless. Ruthless and dark aren't the same thing. There's a line between fighting smart and fighting like the enemy. If Harry crosses that line, he becomes what he's fighting against. I know. Sirius's expression softened slightly. But I also know what it's like to lose everyone you love because you weren't prepared enough. James and Lily died because we trusted the wrong person, because we thought honor and friendship would be enough. It wasn't. So we teach him to trust no one. We teach him to be careful, to question, to survive long enough to win. Cedric shakes his head. He needs balance. Your tactics are valuable. I'm not denying that. but he also needs to know he's not alone, that he doesn't have to fight like them to win. Then teach him your way, Sirius challenges. Show him what fair play looks like in a real fight. Let him choose which approach works for him. 3 days later, Cedric runs his first solo training session. Today we're learning shields, he announces. Not just Protego, anyone can cast a basic shield charm. We're learning layered defensive magic, the kind that keeps you and your allies alive when you're outnumbered. He demonstrates Protego Maxima, a more powerful version of the standard shield that can protect multiple people at once. The spell creates a shimmering dome of light that hovers in the air. The key is efficiency, Cedric explains. You can't maintain a personal shield and fight at the same time. It takes too much concentration. But if you have a partner, he looks at Harry. One person shields, the other attacks. That's how you survive overwhelming force. They practice for hours. Harry learns to cast shields while Cedric fires stunners at him from different angles. Then they switch. Cedric shields while Harry attacks. Why are you so good at this? Harry asks during a break, breathing hard. Seeker training, Cedric says simply. You learn to track multiple moving objects, anticipate trajectories, react faster than you can think. Those same skills apply to defensive magic. You see the curse coming, you know where to position your shield, you react before conscious thought catches up. Can you teach me that, the anticipation part? I can try, but it takes time, years usually. You have natural seeker talent too, that helps. We'll work on it. They establish a routine, mornings with Sirius, tactics, dirty fighting, guerrilla magic, afternoons with Cedric, shields, coordination, defensive strategy. Harry flourishes under both approaches. He learns when to fight like a marauder, fast, chaotic, unpredictable, and when to fight like Cedric, disciplined, protective, strategic. But more importantly, he learns he has choices. He doesn't have to be just one kind of fighter. He can adapt based on the situation. Late July. Harry wakes from a nightmare, Voldemort's red eyes, Cedric's body falling, and can't get back to sleep. He goes downstairs and finds Cedric in the kitchen making tea. It's 2 a.m. Can't sleep either, Cedric asks. Nightmares. Same. They sit at the scrubbed kitchen table, both nursing mugs of tea. Do they go away? Harry asks quietly. The nightmares? The memories? I don't know yet. It's only been a month. Cedric stares into his mug. I keep seeing that moment when Pettigrew raised his wand. I keep hearing him say, "Kill the spare," like I was nothing, just an inconvenience, disposable. But you weren't. You fought, you survived, because you warned me. If you hadn't shouted, Cedric's hands tighten on his mug, I'd be dead. And you'd probably be dead too, because you couldn't have fought them both alone. So we saved each other. Yeah. Cedric looks up, meets Harry's eyes. That's the point, I think. That's the thing Sirius and I have been arguing about in training. He wants to teach you to be a lone wolf, dangerous, unpredictable, self-reliant, and that's valuable. But it's not the whole picture. What's the other part? Unity, partnership. The fact that 2 people working together are stronger than 2 people fighting alone. Voldemort doesn't understand that. He thinks power comes from domination, from being stronger than everyone around you. But real power, Cedric gestures between them, comes from this, from trust. From knowing someone has your back even when everything goes to hell. Is that what you're trying to teach me in your training sessions? Partly. But I'm also trying to teach you that you're worth protecting, that you don't have to sacrifice yourself to win. Sirius's approach is all about survival at any cost. Mine is about survival with your soul intact. Both matter. But if you lose yourself trying to beat Voldemort, he wins even if you kill him. Harry thinks about this. So I need both. Sirius's tactics and your principles. Exactly. You need to know how to fight dirty when necessary, but you also need to know when to hold the line, when to protect instead of attack, when to trust your allies instead of doing everything alone. Dumbledore always says love is the power Voldemort doesn't understand. It is, but love in practice looks like teamwork, like sacrifice that doesn't end in death, like building something together instead of destroying everything alone. They sit in comfortable silence, drinking tea, both feeling slightly less alone. Thank you, Harry says eventually, for staying, for teaching me, for being here. Thank you for saving my life, Cedric counters, and for trusting me enough to let me help. Upstairs, Sirius stands in the hallway listening. He's not eavesdropping intentionally. He came down for water and heard voices. He listens to Cedric explain unity, partnership, the value of fighting without losing yourself. and Sirius realizes that Cedric is teaching Harry something Sirius can't, something James and Lily would have taught their son if they'd lived. How to be powerful without being alone. How to win without becoming the monster. Sirius goes back to bed feeling for the first time that maybe, just maybe, Harry will be okay, because he has two teachers now, the reckless marauder and the fair play champion. And between them, they're shaping Harry into someone who might actually survive what's coming. Platform 9 3/4 bustles with families saying goodbye to students. Harry, Ron, and Hermione find a compartment near the middle of the train. Harry's trunk is heavier this year, packed with advanced defense books Sirius gave him and practice equipment Cedric recommended. Heard from Cedric? Ron asks as the train starts moving. Yesterday, he's staying near Hogsmeade. Dumbledore asked him to be close to the school this year. In case, Harry doesn't finish the sentence, in case Voldemort tries something. That's good, right, Hermione says. Having someone with combat experience nearby? After what happened at the graveyard, she stops when she sees Harry's expression. They're all still processing. The nightmares haven't stopped for any of them. The compartment door slides open. Neville Longbottom pokes his head in. Can I sit here? Everywhere else is full. Neville settles in, looking nervous. Is it true? About you-know-who. My Gran says the Ministry confirmed it, that you and Cedric Diggory actually saw him. It's true, Harry says quietly. Then we're at war. Yeah. They sit in silence for a moment. Then Neville says with surprising steel in his voice, my parents were tortured by Death Eaters. Bellatrix Lestrange. She's still in Azkaban, but if you-know-who comes back with his full power, she might get out. I need to learn to fight. Really fight. Can you teach me? Harry exchanges glances with Ron and Hermione. I'm not a teacher, Harry says. But you survived. Twice. And Cedric Diggory trained you this summer, right? Everyone's been talking about it. The two who lived getting ready for the next fight. Neville leans forward. Please, I don't want to be useless when they come. Something clicks in Harry's mind. An idea. A dangerous, ambitious idea. Let me talk to Dumbledore, Harry says. And Cedric. But yeah, I think we can make that happen. The great hall glitters with floating candles and starry ceiling. Dumbledore stands at the staff table, waiting for silence. His appearance has changed since last year. There are new lines on his face, a weariness in his eyes. The graveyard incident aged him. Welcome, he says, voice magically amplified, to another year at Hogwarts. Before we begin the feast, I have several important announcements. The hall goes silent. Students lean forward, sensing something significant. As you are all aware, Lord Voldemort has returned. Several students flinch at the name. The Ministry has confirmed this truth, Dumbledore continues. 2 of our students, Harry Potter and Cedric Diggory, witnessed his resurrection and escaped with their lives. They are heroes in the truest sense, but their heroism has thrust us into a new era. We are at war. The word, war, settles over the hall like a shroud. However, Dumbledore says, and his voice strengthens, we will not face this threat unprepared. This year, Hogwarts will implement new defense protocols. Advanced combat training will be available to students 5th year and above. And, he pauses, we have a special advisor joining us. Mr. Cedric Diggory has agreed to serve as a defense consultant, working with Professor Umbridge to ensure our students receive the best possible preparation. Polite applause. Students crane their necks, looking for Cedric. He's not at the staff table. But through the entrance doors, Cedric walks in, wearing formal robes, looking older than his 19 years. He nods to Dumbledore and takes a seat at a small table set apart from staff and students. A consultant's position, not quite staff, not quite student. At the Gryffindor table, Harry feels a surge of relief. Cedric is here. Close. Available. Professor Umbridge will serve as our defense against the dark arts teacher, Dumbledore continues. She comes to us from the Ministry with extensive theoretical knowledge. Mr. Diggory will provide practical, real-world experience. Together, they will prepare you for the challenges ahead. A woman at the staff table stands. Dolores Umbridge is short, squat, wearing lurid pink robes and a velvet bow in her iron-gray hair. Her smile doesn't reach her toad-like eyes. Hem. She clears her throat. Thank you, Headmaster. I look forward to teaching our students proper Ministry-approved defensive techniques, with safety and order as our primary concerns. Cedric's expression doesn't change, but Harry sees his jaw tighten slightly. There's going to be tension between Umbridge and Cedric. That much is clear. The feast begins, Monday morning. Fifth-year Gryffindors and Slytherins file into the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. Professor Umbridge stands at the front, hands clasped, smile fixed. "Good morning, children." "Good morning, Professor Umbridge," they chorus back. "Today we begin your OWL year in Defense Against the Dark Arts. Please turn to page 5 of Defensive Magical Theory by Wilbert Slinkhard. Page 5 contains dense paragraphs about theoretical approaches to defensive magic. No actual spells, no practical application. Hermione's hand shoots up. "Professor, when will we be practicing defensive spells?" "My dear girl, there is no need for practice. As long as you study the theory carefully, you will be perfectly prepared for your OWL examination." "But the exam has a practical component," Hermione persists. "We need to actually cast the spells. The Ministry has determined that a theoretical knowledge of defense is sufficient. Practical spells can be dangerous, especially in the hands of excitable students." Her eyes flick to Harry. "And given recent incidents, it's clear that some students require careful supervision." Harry's hands clench under his desk. She's talking about the graveyard, implying he's dangerous or unstable. Now, Umbridge continues, "We will begin with a discussion of defensive theory as it relates to—" Cedric Diggory walks in, carrying a stack of parchment. "Excuse me, Professor Umbridge. Headmaster Dumbledore asked me to distribute these." "Mr. Diggory." Umbridge's voice could freeze fire. "I am in the middle of my lesson. I understand. This will only take a moment." Cedric begins handing out parchment to students. "These are permission slips for an advanced defense study group I'll be running. Voluntary, after hours, for students who want practical combat training beyond the standard curriculum." Umbridge's face turns an ugly shade of puce. "The standard curriculum is perfectly adequate. Given that we're at war," he says it deliberately, forcing her to acknowledge reality. "The headmaster and I agreed that additional practical training should be available to those who want it. The Ministry has not approved. The headmaster has jurisdiction over school activities. The Ministry approves curriculum, but optional study groups are within Hogwarts authority." Cedric's tone remains polite but firm. "Students, if you're interested, return these slips to me by Friday. We'll meet in the Room of Requirements starting next week." He finishes distributing slips and leaves before Umbridge can protest further. The moment he's gone, Umbridge's smile vanishes. "Those of you considering Mr. Diggory's group should think carefully. Unsupervised practical magic can lead to serious injury. The Ministry is watching Hogwarts very closely this year. I would hate to see students get into trouble." It's a threat, thinly veiled but clear. Harry meets Hermione's eyes. She nods slightly. They're both signing up. Friday evening. 20 students gather in the Room of Requirement. The room has configured itself as a training space. Cushioned floors, practice dummies, weapon racks filled with defensive equipment. Cedric stands at the front wearing practical dueling robes. Harry, Ron, and Hermione are there. So are Neville, Ginny Weasley, Luna Lovegood, and students from all 4 houses, including some Slytherins who openly acknowledge Voldemort's return. "Thank you all for coming," Cedric begins. "I know it's not easy to add more work to your already busy schedules, but we're here because the world has changed. Voldemort is back, war is coming, and when it arrives, we need to be ready." He lets that sink in. "Professor Umbridge will teach you theory. That's important. You need to understand how defensive magic works. But theory alone won't save you when someone casts a killing curse. You need muscle memory, reflexes, the ability to shield without thinking. Is it true you fought you-know-who?" a Hufflepuff 4th year asks. "Yes, at the graveyard. Harry and I barely escaped. We survived because we worked together, because we shielded each other, fought as a unit, and refused to let each other die. That's what I'm going to teach you. Not individual heroics. Team tactics. Because none of us can beat Voldemort alone. But together we might stand a chance." He starts with basics. Shield charms, standard Protego for everyone, no exceptions. Half the students can barely produce a shimmer. Cedric works with each one, patiently demonstrating wand movement and proper intent. "Don't think of it as a wall," he explains to Neville, whose shield keeps flickering out. "Think of it as a cushion. You're not stopping the curse, you're deflecting it, softening it, turning aside." This time his shield holds for 3 seconds before fading. "Better. That's progress. By the end of term, you'll hold it for a minute." Harry works with the more advanced students, those who can already shield. He teaches them the tactics Sirius showed him, how to cast while moving, how to use the environment, how to create distractions. The key is not to duel, Harry explains, demonstrating against Ron. Dueling is formal, one-on-one. Death Eaters don't duel, they ambush. So you need to think like them, stay mobile, use cover, never stand still. He and Ron stage a mock fight. Harry ducks behind a training dummy, transfigures a cushion into a flock of birds that fly at Ron's face, then stuns him while he's distracted. That was brilliant, Ginny says. That was dirty, Ron mutters, rubbing his chest where the stunner hit. Exactly, Harry says. Fair fighting gets you killed. Cedric watches from across the room, sees Harry teaching marauder tactics, and smiles slightly. Harry has found his balance. Sirius's ruthlessness tempered with Cedric's principle of protecting others. They train for 2 hours. By the end, everyone is exhausted but exhilarated. Same time next week, Cedric says as they file out. Practice your shields every day, and remember, this stays between us. Professor Umbridge is watching. We're not doing anything against the rules, but let's not advertise. After everyone leaves, Harry helps Cedric clean up. You're a good teacher, Cedric observes. Better than you think. I'm just showing them what Sirius taught me. You're doing more than that. You're giving them confidence, making them believe they can survive. That's the hardest part of teaching combat magic, convincing people they're capable. You think we're actually helping, or are we just... Harry struggles for words. Making them targets? If Voldemort finds out students are training here, then he finds out students are fighting back. That's terrifying for him, Harry. He relies on fear, on people being too scared to resist. The moment people start training, start organizing, start refusing to be victims, that's when he loses his power. Harry nods slowly. The DA, that's what Ginny called it. Dumbledore's army, has a ring to it. They leave the room of requirement together, 2 champions preparing an army for the war they know is coming. And across the castle, in her pink-decorated office, Dolores Umbridge writes a letter to the Minister for Magic about unsanctioned student activities requiring immediate ministry oversight. The battle lines are being drawn. Harry wakes screaming. He's in the Gryffindor dormitory, tangled in sweat-soaked sheets. Ron is shaking his shoulder, voice urgent. Harry, wake up! You were shouting about Cedric. He's in danger. Harry gasps, scar burning. Voldemort has him, at the Ministry, the Department of Mysteries. He's torturing him. The vision is still vivid. Cedric bound and bleeding. Voldemort's high, cold laughter. Death Eaters circling. We need to check, Harry says, already pulling on clothes. We need to know if it's real. Use the flu connection to contact Grimauld Place. Sirius appears in the flames, looking alarmed. Harry? It's 2 a.m. Is he safe? Cedric? He's in Hogsmeade, I think. Why? I had a vision. Voldemort has him. At the Ministry. Sirius's expression shifts immediately. Stay there. Don't move. I'm contacting the Order. The flames die. Harry, Ron, and Hermione wait in agonized silence. 5 minutes later, Sirius's voice comes through again. Cedric's not responding to communication charms. Neither is Dumbledore. Something's wrong. Then we go, Harry says immediately. We get to the Ministry and, Sirius, if it's a trap, then I spring it. You're not risking yourself for me again, Harry. I've been free for 6 months. I'm not wasting that by letting you walk into danger. But stay at Hogwarts. That's an order. Sirius's face disappears. Harry stares at the empty fireplace, hands clenched. He's right, Harry, Hermione says quietly. If it's a trap for you, if Voldemort's using Cedric as bait, and if something happens to them, Harry's voice breaks, it's my fault for having the vision. Or it's Voldemort's fault for setting the trap, Ron says firmly. Come on, mate. We wait. We trust Sirius. They wait. It's the longest 90 minutes of Harry's life. Department of Mysteries, Hall of Prophecy. Rows of glowing orbs stretch into darkness. Sirius Black moves through the shadows, wand raised. Behind him, Remus Lupin, Kingsley Shacklebolt, Nymphadora Tonks. 4 Order members against whatever's waiting. They find Cedric in the time room, unconscious but alive, bound to a chair. No visible injuries. He's been stunned, not tortured. It's a trap, Remus says immediately. They left him as bait. Then let's spring it properly, Sirius mutters. He starts cutting Cedric's bonds with severing charms. Cedric wakes groggily. Sirius? What? Where? Their masks gleam in the dim light. Sirius Black, Lucius drawls. How convenient. The Dark Lord will be pleased. He can be pleased in hell, Sirius snarls. The battle erupts. Spells fly in all directions, red stunners, purple hexes, jets of green killing curses. The time room explodes with magical energy he's known for. 13 years of Azkaban, 6 months of freedom and pure determination not to go back. Cedric, still groggy, manages to raise shields, protecting them from the initial barrage. "Stay together," Kingsley shouts. "Don't let them separate us." But the Death Eaters have numbers and strategy. They split the Order members, drive them into different chambers. Sirius ends up in the Death Chamber, a vast stone amphitheater with rows of benches descending to a central dais. On the dais, an ancient stone archway with a tattered black veil hanging in the opening. Bellatrix Lestrange follows him in, laughing. "Poor cousin Sirius, poor blood traitor. The Dark Lord wants you alive, but I'm willing to disappoint him." Bellatrix is skilled, creative, vicious. Sirius is desperate and fighting for his life. "Avada Kedavra," Bellatrix shrieks. The killing curse shoots towards Sirius's chest. Then Cedric Diggory appears, still stumbling but wand raised. Protego Horribilis. The shield, a more powerful variant than standard Protego, intercepts the curse. The killing curse splashes against the shield like water against glass, deflecting harmlessly into the stone wall. Bellatrix's eyes widen in shock. Cedric doesn't give her time to recover. Stupefy. The stunner hits her square in the chest. She flies backwards, slamming into the stone benches, and goes limp. Sirius stares at Cedric, breathing hard. She was going to. Harry, his voice cracks. "Harry would never forgive me if I let you die." They bind Bellatrix quickly, rush back to the time room. The battle is ending. The Order has captured 8 Death Eaters, including Lucius Malfoy. The remaining 4 fled when Dumbledore arrived. The headmaster's arrival turned the tide decisively. "Is everyone all right?" Dumbledore asks, surveying the group. "Bruised, bleeding, exhausted, but alive. All of them. We got them," Tonks says, gesturing at the bound Death Eaters. 8 of them, including Malfoy and Lestrange. A costly one, but a victory nonetheless. In the corner, Sirius pulls Cedric into a fierce hug. "You saved my life. We're even now. You came to save me. I think we're past keeping score, kid." Fudge arrives with oars, sees Voldemort's Death Eaters captured, sees the evidence of dark magic everywhere. He can't deny it anymore. The war is real, undeniable. The Daily Prophet the next morning, Death Eaters captured. Ministry battle proves Dark Lord's return. And for the first time since Voldemort's resurrection, the Order enters the next phase of the war with momentum, not desperation. Because Sirius Black is alive, the 2 who lived are stronger than ever, and the Death Eaters just lost 8 of their best fighters. The kitchen at Grimauld Place is crowded. Order members fill every seat. Remus, Tonks, Kingsley, Mad-Eye Moody, Arthur and Molly Weasley, McGonagall. At the head of the table sits Albus Dumbledore, looking older and more tired than Harry has ever seen him. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sit along one wall. Technically not full members, but invited because of their role in everything that's happened. And in the center of attention stands Cedric Diggory, 19 years old, wearing dark combat robes. "I'm asking the Order to accept me as a full member," Cedric says clearly. "I know I'm young. I know I'm inexperienced compared to most of you, but I've fought Voldemort directly. I've trained all summer with former Aurors, and I can contribute skills you need, particularly in defensive magic." Mad-Eye Moody grunts from his corner, magical eye whirring as it examines Cedric. Boy's got nerve, I'll give him that. Saved Black's life at the Ministry? That counts for something. He's also a target now, Molly says worriedly. Death Eaters know his face, know he escaped the graveyard. They'll be hunting him. "They're hunting all of us," Cedric counters. "At least if I'm in the Order officially, I'll have backup. Training. Intelligence about threats. Right now I'm fighting half-blind." Dumbledore steeples his fingers, studying Cedric over his half-moon spectacles. "You understand what you're asking? Order membership means accepting missions that could get you killed. It means lying to your family about where you're going and what you're doing. It means carrying burdens that will change you. I understand. I accepted those burdens the moment I stepped into that graveyard and watched Voldemort rise. There's no going back to normal for me, Professor. The question is whether I fight alone or with allies." "You've been training," Kingsley observes. "Who with?" "Sirius primarily. Combat tactics, guerrilla magic, survival skills. Also worked with Tonks on disguise and infiltration basics. And I've been studying protective magic, shield variants, ward construction, defensive formations. Show us, Moody demands. Protego Maxima, full power. Cedric doesn't hesitate. He raises his wand, speaks the incantation clearly, and a shimmering dome of golden light explodes outward from his position. It's large enough to cover half the kitchen, strong enough that Moody's magical eye has trouble penetrating it. Impressive, Moody admits grudgingly. How long can you hold it? 3 minutes at full strength, 5 if I reduce the coverage area. That's NEWT level work, McGonagall says, surprised. Advanced NEWT, most Aurors can't maintain Protego Maxima for more than 90 seconds. I've been practicing 8 hours a day since the Ministry battle, Cedric says simply. I'm aware I have gaps. Offensive magic, dark creature defense, counter curse work, but shields are what I'm good at. It's what I can contribute that you don't already have. Dumbledore looks around the table. All those in favor of accepting Cedric Diggory as a full Order member, even Molly's, though she looks unhappy about it. Then welcome, Cedric. You are now officially the youngest field operative in Order history. Cedric allows himself a small smile, then his expression turns serious. Professor Dumbledore, there's something else. Harry told me you've been investigating Voldemort's past, looking for ways to kill him permanently. I want to help with that research. That research is dangerous and highly classified. I know. But if you're hunting Horcruxes, Cedric says the word deliberately, watching Dumbledore's reaction, then you need people who understand what we're fighting. Harry's connected to Voldemort through his scar. Hermione's the best researcher at Hogwarts, and I'm the only other person who's seen Voldemort's resurrection attempt and survived. We should be working together on this. Harry sits up straighter. Horcruxes, Professor, what? Dumbledore sighs deeply. He looks every one of his 115 years. I had hoped to keep this burden from you longer, but Cedric is right. You deserve to know what we're facing, he explains. All of it. Tom Riddle's obsession with immortality. The murder of Myrtle Warren to create the diary Horcrux. The cup, the locket, the ring, objects containing fragments of Voldemort's soul, anchoring him to life even when his body is destroyed. I've already destroyed 2, Dumbledore says quietly, showing them his blackened, withered hand. The ring gave me this curse. I have perhaps a year left, maybe less. We must find and destroy the remaining Horcruxes before I die. Otherwise, all my knowledge dies with me. The kitchen falls silent. Harry's mind reels. A year. Dumbledore has a year to live. Then we work fast, Cedric says. His voice is steady, command-like. We form a research team. Professor Dumbledore provides memories and leads. Hermione analyzes the information and identifies likely Horcrux locations. Harry uses his scar connection to verify findings. Carefully, with occlumency shields, I provide security and tactical planning for retrieval missions. 4 people, each contributing what they do best. You're proposing we hunt Horcruxes as a team? Dumbledore asks. Yes, with you leading obviously, but no more solo missions, no more you going off alone to risk your life. We work together or not at all. It's audacious. A 19-year-old telling Albus Dumbledore how to run a war. But Dumbledore smiles faintly. You sound like Sirius. Very well. We'll form a Horcrux research team, the 4 of us. But this information does not leave this room. No one else in the Order can know. The fewer who know about Horcruxes, the less Voldemort can discover if anyone is captured and interrogated. They agree. Over the next weeks, they begin their work. December 1996. The Horcrux research team has identified their next target, Slytherin's locket hidden in a cave Voldemort used as a child to torture other orphans. The location is on the coast, Dumbledore explains in his office, pointing to a map. A cave accessible only by water during low tide. Voldemort placed extensive protections, an entrance requiring blood payment, a vast underground lake with inferi guardians, and a potion that must be drunk to access the locket. What does the potion do? Hermione asks, taking notes. It causes unbearable thirst, hallucinations, and physical agony. The drinker cannot stop themselves from drinking once they start, and the only water source nearby is the lake, which is filled with inferi that drag anyone who touches the water to their death. That's sadistic, Cedric says flatly. Yes. Tom Riddle was never subtle about his cruelty. Dumbledore looks at them seriously. This mission is far more dangerous than the ring retrieval. I nearly died obtaining the ring. The cave will be worse. I'm not certain I'll survive." "Then we make sure you do," Cedric says, "by working as a team. Professor, you'll handle the potion. You're the only one with magic strong enough to fight its effects. Harry, you'll force Professor Dumbledore to keep drinking even when he begs you to stop. And I'll handle the Inferi. There could be hundreds of them," Dumbledore warns. "Then I'll need a lot of fire." Cedric's jaw sets. "I've been practicing. Incendio Maxima, Flagrate, even experimental variants. I can create a perimeter of fire that will hold them back while you and Harry complete the retrieval." They prepare for a week. Cedric practices fire spells until he can maintain multiple flames simultaneously. Harry reviews the cave layout, memorizing every detail. Hermione researches Inferi weaknesses, providing tactical notes. The night of the mission, they apparat to the coastal cliff. The cave entrance is exactly where Dumbledore's research indicated. A dark opening in the cliff face, waves crashing below. They climb down using conjured ropes, enter the cave, and navigate through darkness to the hidden inner chamber. The lake stretches before them, black still, menacing. A small island sits in the center, and on the island a stone basin filled with glowing green liquid. "The potion," Dumbledore says. "And beneath it, if I'm correct, the locket." They cross the lake in a conjured boat. Every splash of the oars makes Harry's skin crawl. He can feel the Inferi below, ancient corpses reanimated by dark magic, waiting. On the island, Dumbledore approaches the basin. "Remember, you must force me to drink the entire potion. I will beg, I will plead. I may even threaten, do not listen. Make me drink." "We will, Professor," Harry promises. Dumbledore begins. The first drink makes him gasp. The second makes him cry out. By the fifth, he's weeping, begging Harry to stop. Saying the potion is burning him from the inside, Harry forces him to continue, tears streaming down his own face. "I'm sorry, Professor. I'm so sorry." Cedric stands at the water's edge, wand raised, watching the lake. The moment Dumbledore takes the 10th drink, the water begins to churn. "They're coming," Cedric says. "Harry, keep him drinking." White hands break the surface. Inferi, dozens of them, then hundreds, crawl from the lake. Their eyes are empty, their movements jerky, their flesh rotting. Cedric casts Incendio Maxima. A wall of fire erupts from his wand, forming a semicircle around the island. The heat is intense, the flames roaring. Inferi that touch the fire shriek soundlessly and fall back. But more keep coming. Flagrate, Cedric draws a line of fire across the water itself, creating a burning barrier. The Inferi are relentless. They climb over their burning fellows, accepting destruction to reach the living. "Harry," Cedric shouts, "how many drinks left?" 4, maybe 5. "Then hurry." Cedric maintains the fire, sweat pouring down his face. His magic is draining rapidly. Sustaining multiple large-scale fire spells is exhausting. His shield training helps, teaching him to channel power efficiently, but there are limits. An Inferius breaks through the flames, lunging at Cedric. He blasts it backward with a knockback jinx, immediately redirects to restore the fire line. 2 more break through, then 5. "Harry," Cedric's voice is desperate now. "Last drink." He's taking the last drink. Dumbledore drains the basin. His hand plunges into the empty vessel, emerges clutching a golden locket on a heavy chain. "Got it," Harry yells. "Then we run. Now." They sprint for the boat. Cedric drops the firewalls, redirecting all his remaining magic into a single massive incendio that sets the entire lake surface ablaze. It buys them 30 seconds. They throw Dumbledore into the boat. He's barely conscious, mumbling incoherently. Harry and Cedric row with desperate speed. Behind them, the flames die, and the Inferi surge forward. White hands grab the boat's edge. Cedric blasts them away with Confringo, explosion after explosion. His wand arm shakes with exhaustion, but he doesn't stop until they reach the cave's far shore. They drag Dumbledore up the path, through the cave entrance, out onto the cliff. Disappear at the moment they hit open air. They materialize in the Hogwarts infirmary. Madame Pomfrey descends on them immediately. "What happened? Cursed potion?" Harry gasps. He drank something horrible, and there were Inferi. Pomfrey works quickly, administering antidotes and restorative potions. Within minutes, Dumbledore's color improves. His eyes open, focus. "Did we get it?" he asks hoarsely. Cedric holds up the locket. "We got it." Dumbledore smiles weakly. "Well done, all of you. Cedric, your firework was extraordinary. You held off hundreds of Inferi alone. Not alone. We were together. Cedric slumps into a chair, utterly spent. But yeah, we got it. One more down. Harry sits beside him. How many left? At least 3, Dumbledore says quietly. The cup, the diadem, and Nagini, Voldemort's snake. We'll need different strategies for each. We'll figure it out, Cedric says, together. Over the following months, the research team continues their work. They identify likely locations for remaining Horcruxes, plan retrieval strategies, prepare for the endgame. But in June 1997, everything changes. Dumbledore calls Harry and Cedric to his office urgently. I've located another Horcrux, in Hogwarts itself, the Ravenclaw diadem hidden in the Room of Requirement. But there's a complication, Harry asks. Draco Malfoy has been tasked with killing me. Voldemort's punishment for Lucius's failure at the Ministry. The boy has been trying all year. Cursed necklace, poisoned mead, various schemes. He's desperate, and tonight he's going to succeed. Then we stop him, Cedric says immediately. No, we let him succeed. Silence, Professor, Harry starts. I'm dying anyway. The curse from the ring is spreading. Madame Pomfrey estimates I have weeks at most. But my death can serve a purpose. Severus has sworn an unbreakable vow to protect Draco. If Draco cannot kill me, Severus must do it in his place. This will secure Severus's position as Voldemort's most trusted servant, allowing him to spy from within. You're planning your own murder, Cedric says, horrified. I'm choosing how I die. There's a difference. And I'm ensuring my death accomplishes strategic goals. Severus will kill me tonight. It must look real. It must convince Voldemort completely. What about us? Harry asks, voice breaking. What do we do? You continue the mission. Find the remaining Horcruxes. Destroy them. And when the time comes, face Voldemort together, not alone. That's my final order as your teacher. Dumbledore looks at them both. Promise me. No heroic sacrifices. No lone wolf missions. You survive by working together. We promise, they say in unison. That night, Harry and Cedric wait in the shadows near the astronomy tower, under invisibility cloaks, as Dumbledore instructed. They watch Draco Malfoy corner Dumbledore on the tower's top, watch Death Eaters arrive, summoned by Draco's dark mark signal, watch Draco's wand hand shake, unable to kill. Then Severus Snape arrives. Severus, Dumbledore says quietly. Please. Snape's face is anguished. For a moment, hatred and revulsion cross his features. Then he raises his wand. Avada Kedavra. Green light, Dumbledore's body falls. Cedric grabs Harry as he tries to lunge forward. We can't. Remember the promise. We can't reveal ourselves. Harry struggles, tears streaming, wanting to kill Snape with his bare hands. But Cedric holds him back until the Death Eaters flee and Snape disappears into the night. The war has entered its final phase. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Cedric hunt Horcruxes together. They don't return to Hogwarts for 7th year. Instead, they live as fugitives, camping in forests, moving every few days, constantly hunted by Snatchers and Death Eaters. But unlike canon, they're not struggling blindly. They have Dumbledore's research, they have a plan, and they have Cedric. Shield rotations every 6 hours, Cedric announces at their first campsite in the Forest of Dean. We need rest, but we also need security. I'll take first watch with Hermione. Harry and Ron, your second watch. We rotate so no one goes more than 6 hours without sleep. You've really thought this through, Ron says, impressed. I've been planning for this since the Department of Mysteries. We're not just running. We're conducting a military operation. That means discipline, logistics, and strategy. The camp is better protected than Harry and Hermione managed alone in canon. Cedric's wards are professional grade, stronger, more layered, harder to detect. His organizational skills keep them fed, warm, and relatively safe. But the Horcrux is still corrupt. The locket, Slytherin's locket, which they destroyed months ago but whose presence lingered, has been replaced by vigilance over who wears protective artifacts that keep Voldemort's influence at bay. We need to maintain mental health, Cedric says during a strategy meeting in October. The stress, the isolation, the constant danger, it wears on you. So we establish rules. No one wears cursed artifacts for more than 4 hours. We have mandatory social time every evening. Games, stories, anything to keep us connected. And if anyone shows signs of corruption or breakdown, we address it immediately. You sound like a drill sergeant, Ron mutters. I sound like someone who wants to keep his team alive and sane. Ron's jealousy flares. Harry and Cedric's partnership, Hermione's obvious respect for Cedric's leadership, the sense that he's the least essential member. "I don't know why I'm even here," Ron says during one argument. "You three have everything figured out. You don't need me." "That's the corruption talking," Cedric says firmly. "Ron, you're the heart of this team. Harry's the sword, Hermione's the mind, I'm the shield. But you're the one who keeps us human, who reminds us why we're fighting, who makes us laugh when everything's gone to hell. Don't let the darkness convince you otherwise." Ron tries to leave anyway. The fight escalates. But this time, Cedric follows him. He tracks Ron for 3 days, using the skills Moody taught him, staying hidden, making sure Ron doesn't get captured or killed. On the 3rd day, Cedric approaches openly. "You done running?" he asks. Ron looks terrible, exhausted, ashamed, lost. "I can't go back, I said things." "Did things? Why do you even care?" You're Ron Weasley. You're the reason Harry survived living with the Dursleys. You gave him friendship when he had nothing. You're the reason Hermione learned to value bravery over just cleverness. And you're one of the bravest people I know because you fight even though you're scared. That's what courage is. Ron stares at him. "You really believe that?" "I do, and so does everyone else. Come back. We need you." Ron apologizes to Harry and Hermione. The team reunites, stronger for having faced and overcome their fracture point. 4 people, Cedric says that night, standing watch over the camp. 4 people who refuse to give up on each other. That's how we win. "I'll scout first," Cedric says. "If it's a trap, better I spring it than all of us." He goes in disillusioned, moving through the village carefully. Detects Nagini and Bathilda Bagshot's body. The magical signature is wrong. Predatory. Returns to warn the others. It's an ambush. Voldemort's snake is possessing Bathilda. "If we go in, we're walking into a trap. Then we don't go in," Hermione says. "We find another way to get the sword." They retreat, avoid the ambush entirely. Later, when Ron retrieves the sword from the frozen pool, guided by Dumbledore's Patronus, they destroy the locket Horcrux cleanly, with all 4 of them present. When they're captured by Snatchers, Cedric is with them. He tries to fight back, actually manages to stun 2 Snatchers, but there are too many. They're all taken to Malfoy Manor. In the drawing room, Bellatrix Lestrange recognizes Cedric immediately. "The spare," she hisses, "the one who should have died in the graveyard, the one who shielded the blood traitor at the Ministry." She tortures Cedric instead of Hermione, Cruciatus Curse, again and again. Cedric screams, writhes, but doesn't break. Doesn't give them information about the sword or Horcruxes. "Tough little spare," Bellatrix coos. "Let's see how tough." Harry and Ron are locked in the cellar with Hermione, listening to Cedric's screams from above, helpless. "We have to do something," Harry says desperately. Then Dobby appears, summoned by the Mirror Shard connection. The house elf helps them escape, apparates them away moments before Bellatrix can kill Cedric. They materialize at Shell Cottage. Cedric is unconscious, shaking with aftershocks from the Cruciatus torture. Bill and Fleur tend to him while Harry explains what happened. It takes Cedric 3 days to recover enough to walk, another week before the tremors stop completely. "I'm sorry," Harry says when Cedric is lucid again. "She tortured you because of me." "Because you've been protecting me." "Stop," Cedric interrupts. "She tortured me because she's evil. Because Voldemort is evil. That's on them, not you. And I'd do it again. Take that curse instead of letting her hurt Hermione or you or Ron. That's what partners do. They break into Gringotts to steal Hufflepuff's cup from the Lestrange vault." Cedric provides shield support during the escape. When the dragon breaks free and they ride it out of the bank, Cedric maintains a Protego Horribilis around the group, deflecting curses from pursuing goblins and guards. "Keep your heads down," he shouts over the dragon's roar. "I can't shield and steer." They crash land in a lake, swim to shore, have the cup. By May, they've located the final Horcrux, the Ravenclaw diadem, hidden in the Room of Requirement. They return to Hogwarts with a plan. Hogwarts is under siege. Voldemort's ultimatum has been given: surrender Harry Potter or watch the castle fall. Students and staff have formed defensive lines at the castle's key entry points. McGonagall commands the main courtyard. Flitwick holds the astronomy tower. Sprout guards the greenhouses and dungeons. And Cedric Diggory takes command of the viaduct, the stone bridge connecting the castle to the grounds. A critical choke point. 24 fighters, Cedric says, surveying his force. Hufflepuffs mostly. Ernie Macmillan, Hannah Abbott, Susan Bones, Justin Finch Fletchley, but also some Ravenclaws and Gryffindors who recognize his combat experience. We hold this bridge. Death Eaters can't be allowed to cross, because if they flank the courtyard, we lose the castle. How do we hold against superior numbers, Ernie asks. Shield wall formation. I'll teach you. Cedric arranges them in 3 rows across the viaduct's width. Front row, 3 fighters casting Protego Maxima, overlapping shields to create a continuous wall of magical protection. Middle row, 8 fighters behind the shields casting offensive spells through gaps. Stunners, disarming charms, knockback jinxes. Back row, healers and reserves ready to rotate in when frontline fighters tire. The key is coordination, Cedric explains. Shield casters announce when they need to rotate. Middle row fighters fire in sequence, never all at once, so there's continuous pressure. Back row watches for injuries and gaps. We move as one unit. They drill for 20 minutes, barely enough time, before the Death Eaters attack. The assault on the viaduct is led by Yaxley, a senior Death Eater with 20 fighters under his command. They approach confidently, expecting to overwhelm student defenders easily. They're wrong. Shields up, Cedric commands. 3 voices in unison, Protego Maxima. A shimmering wall of golden light springs up across the viaduct, floor to ceiling, completely blocking passage. Death Eaters unleash a barrage of curses. The shields hold. Middle row, fire. 8 stunners shoot through controlled gaps in the shield wall. 2 Death Eaters fall. The rest scatter, taking cover behind conjured barriers. Maintain formation. Don't let them bait you into breaking ranks. The Death Eaters try everything. Blasting curses that shake the stone but don't penetrate the shields. Cutting hexes that splash harmlessly against magical barriers. Even Fiend Fire. A Death Eater has conjured Cursed Flame, the same spell Crab used in canon. A writhing beast of fire that consumes everything in its path. Cedric reacts instantly. Front row, hold shields. Susan, Hannah, with me. He steps forward, wand raised. Aguamenti Maxima. Susan and Hannah add their own water spells. The combined torrent doesn't extinguish Fiend Fire, that's impossible, but it redirects the flames away from the viaduct, channeling them down into the gorge below. The Death Eater controlling the Fiend Fire loses control. The flames consume him, and he falls screaming. Back to formation. Shields up. The battle continues. 45 minutes of sustained combat. Death Eaters can't break through. Every time they try to rush the shields, coordinated stunners from the middle row drive them back. Cedric rotates fighters smoothly. Front row shield casters switch out when exhausted. Middle row attackers rotate when their wand arms shake. Back row healers keep everyone functional. We're holding, Ernie gasps, sweating and exhilarated. We're actually holding. Keep it up, Cedric shouts. Another 10 minutes and reinforcements will arrive from the courtyard. Yaxley realizes he's losing. Tries one desperate gambit. Apparates past the shield wall, materializing directly behind Cedric. Avada, Cedric spins. Stupefy. They cast simultaneously. Cedric's stunner hits Yaxley's chest a split second before the killing curse finishes forming. Yaxley crumples. Bind him, Cedric snaps. Ernie immediately conjures ropes. The Death Eaters, seeing their leader fall, break and retreat. The viaduct is held. Harry destroys the diadem Horcrux in the Room of Requirement, faces Voldemort's final challenge, walking into the Forbidden Forest to surrender himself, believing he must die to destroy the Horcrux in his scar. Cedric tries to follow. Harry stuns him. I'm sorry, Harry whispered to Cedric's unconscious form, but I have to do this part alone. He walks into the forest, faces Voldemort, allows himself to be struck down by the killing curse. The Horcrux dies. Harry survives. When Hagrid carries Harry's body back to the castle, Cedric has woken. He sees Harry's limp form and falls to his knees. No, not him. Not after everything. Voldemort stands before the castle's defenders, triumphant. Harry Potter is dead. He was killed while trying to flee, while you lay down your lives for him. He was nothing but a boy who relied on others to defend him. You're wrong. Cedric stands. His voice carries across the courtyard. Harry Potter is the bravest person I've ever known. He saved all of us over and over, and if you think killing him means you've won, Cedric raises his wand. You're about to learn otherwise. Voldemort's red eyes narrow. The Spare, still alive, still defiant. Your champion is dead, Diggory. You should have died with him. He's not dead, Cedric says with absolute certainty. I know him. He wouldn't leave us like this. Harry Potter doesn't give up, and neither do we. Neville Longbottom steps forward, drawing the sword of Gryffindor from the sorting hat. Luna Lovegood joins them on Cedric's right side. Then more students, from all 4 houses, standing together, united. Harry's eyes open. He rolls from Hagrid's arms and stands. The courtyard erupts in cheers. Voldemort's face contorts with rage. Enough! I will kill you all. Voldemort and Harry circle each other in the Great Hall. The castle has become a war zone, staff fighting Death Eaters, students defending corridors, the very stones of Hogwarts coming alive to protect its inhabitants. But as Harry and Voldemort prepare for the final confrontation, something unprecedented happens. Cedric Diggory steps up beside Harry. Not to duel, he's not that foolish, but to stand with him on Harry's other side representing Ravenclaw. Neville Longbottom steps forward. Gryffindor, the symbolism is clear. 4 houses united around Harry Potter. Voldemort laughs. What is this? A show of unity? How touching. But it changes nothing, Harry says. You never understood, Tom. The power you know not wasn't just love. It was this. He gestures to the people standing with him. Unity, you divided the wizarding world into pure and impure, worthy and unworthy. We united it, 4 houses, all blood statuses, everyone fighting together. That's why you lose. Brave words from dead men. Voldemort mirrors him. The spells come, Avada Kedavra and Expelliarmus. The Elder Wand, still refusing to serve Voldemort, its allegiance belonging to Harry through his disarming of Draco Malfoy, rebels. The killing curse rebounds. Tom Riddle's body crumples, falls, dies truly and finally, all Horcruxes destroyed, no anchors remaining. The war is over. The legacy of Diggory. May 3rd, 1998. The Great Hall has become a makeshift hospital. Wounded lie on conjured beds. Healers move among them. The Weasley family huddles around Fred, who survived this timeline. He wasn't killed by an explosion because the Hufflepuff viaduct defense prevented Death Eaters from flanking the castle and placing explosives. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Cedric sit together on the steps outside the castle, watching the sunrise. None of them have slept. They're covered in dust, blood, bruises. Cedric's left arm is in a sling. He took a curse during the final battle. Ron has a gash across his forehead. Hermione's robes are torn and scorched. But they're alive. We did it, Ron says wonderingly. We actually did it. In another timeline, it would have been 50, but we saved 30 because we held the viaduct, because we worked together, because we refused to let them divide us. 20 is still too many, Harry says. I know, but we honor them by building something better. A world where their sacrifice mattered. Hermione leans her head on Ron's shoulder. What happens now? The Ministry needs reform. Hogwarts needs repair. The wizarding world needs to learn that pure blood supremacy is poison. We have work to do. Together? Harry asks. Together. 3 years later, the Ministry of Magic, Department of Magical Law Enforcement. Harry Potter sits at his desk in the Auror office, reviewing case files. He's 21, already a senior Auror after 3 years of exemplary service. A knock at his door. Cedric Diggory enters, wearing the formal robes of the head of the Auror office, a position he was appointed to at age 23, making him the youngest person to hold that rank in Ministry history. Morning, boss, Harry says with a grin. Don't start, Cedric replies, but he's smiling. We have a meeting with the minister in 10 minutes. New legislation on werewolf rights. She wants Auror input. The Minister for Magic is Kingsley Shacklebolt, who pushed through reforms with support from Harry, Cedric, and Hermione, now a Department of Magical Law Enforcement lawyer, specializing in creature rights and muggle-born protections. They walk together through the Ministry atrium. Heard from Hermione? Cedric asks. She's in Paris this week. International Magical Cooperation Conference, trying to get other countries to adopt our anti-discrimination laws. She'll succeed. She always does. They reach the minister's office. Inside, Kingsley greets them warmly. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. I wanted your assessment of the proposed werewolf registration reform. Harry and Cedric argue for eliminating the registration requirement entirely. Kingsley is cautious, but ultimately agrees to a trial period. You're changing the world, Kingsley says as they leave. Both of you, exactly what we needed after the war. Remember when we were just trying to survive the graveyard? Harry asks. Every day, that night changed everything. You could be doing anything right now. Playing professional Quidditch? Living a quiet life? Instead, you're here, fighting ministry bureaucracy and rewriting laws. This is where I'm needed. This is where I can do the most good. Cedric looks at Harry seriously. We survived together. Now we build together. That's how it works. 19 years later, the Hogwarts Express gleams on platform 9 3/4. Harry Potter, now 37, head Auror since Cedric retired 2 years ago to focus on consulting and teaching, stands with his wife Ginny and their 3 children. Beside them, Cedric Diggory, 41, with his wife Cho and their 2 children. The children, a mix of Potters and Diggorys who grew up together, who know each other as family, are boarding the train for their various years at Hogwarts. James Sirius Potter, 2nd year, and Cedric's son Thomas are best friends, already running ahead to find a compartment. Albus Severus Potter is 11, nervous about his first year. Cedric's daughter Eleanor, also 11, is bouncing with excitement. "Dad," Albus says quietly to Harry, What if I'm in Slytherin? It's who you choose to stand with, the friends you make, the values you hold. I was Hufflepuff, Harry was Gryffindor, but we fought side by side, trusted each other completely, and survived things most people can't imagine. The Sorting Hat will put you where you belong, and wherever that is, it's right. Albus looks at his father, who nods agreement. He's right. And Al, Harry pulls his son close. If you are in Slytherin, you'll be the best thing to happen to that house in a generation. Eleanor tugs on Cedric's sleeve. Dad, what if we're in different houses? What if I don't get Hufflepuff like you? The children board. The train begins to move. Harry and Cedric stand side by side watching it disappear around the bend. Our kids going to Hogwarts together, Harry says. Never thought I'd see this day. Never thought I'd survive the graveyard, Cedric counters. Everything after that has been a gift. Ginny and Cho join them, ready to apparate home. Fancy a drink? Cedric asks Harry. The leaky cauldron? For old time's sake, they apparate together. These 2 men who survived the impossible, who changed the wizarding world, who proved that unity defeats division. At the leaky cauldron, they sit at a corner table with fire whiskey and memories. To survival, Harry says, raising his glass. To partnership, Cedric adds. To fair play, Hermione's voice says from the doorway. She's just arrived from the ministry, still in her lawyer's robes. Ron appears behind her, and to never giving up on each other. The 4 of them, Harry, Cedric, Hermione, Ron, toast together. The 2 who lived and the friends who stood with them, they survived the graveyard. They hunted Horcruxes, they fought at Hogwarts, they rebuilt the wizarding world, and they did it together, always together, because that's the real magic. Not individual heroism, not lone sacrifice, but unity, partnership, the refusal to abandon each other even when everything goes to hell. Same time next year? Ron asks. Same time every year, Harry confirms. Until we're old and gray and boring our children with war stories they've heard 1,000 times. I'm already old and gray, Cedric says with mock seriousness. He's 41, with silver starting to thread through his hair. You're distinguished, Cho says loyally. They laugh, drink, share stories. Outside, the wizarding world continues. Better than before, more just, more unified. Because 2 17-year-old boys grabbed each other and a prisoner and refused to let anyone die that night in a graveyard. And that single choice, that moment of partnership and trust, changed everything. Let us know what you'd like to see next. The end.